out of nowhere, she whips out her tit, and I was shocked. I was staring so hard that my father had to stop me and tell me, look, you need to chill. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking to you about everything breastfeeding in public and what's the scoop on why it's so controversial. Let's get into it. First, let's start off with some laws. In case you didn't know, breastfeeding women have laws in all 50 states that protect them and allow for breastfeeding in public and private spaces. Out of those 50 states, 31 protect breastfeeding women from public indecency laws. As you can see, America still has a lot of growing to do when it comes to protecting people that breastfeed their children. And one of those does start with that changing at 31 states to all 50 states, allowing for moms to breastfeed in public without possibly getting in trouble for public indecency. Breastfeeding is still not considered to be the norm in America, and because of that, many moms are subjected to either planning ahead so that they don't have to feed their child when they're on the go, or pumping so that they can feel comfortable doing whatever they're doing without having to whip out the tit. Or they can use a cover that is hot for themselves as well as the baby, which is extremely inconvenient in the summertime. So why is this topic so controversial? The reason is people sexualize breasts. Our culture looks at breasts first and foremost as a part of the sexual experience. Men like to look at them, or people rather, like to look at them, and it gives some people a sense of sexual arousal. However, from a biological standpoint, breast tissue and breasts on a whole were first and foremost made to make milk, which is then made to feed your child. And because breastfeeding has not been so popular in this country, we do find a hard time separating those two, as well as identifying the primary function of breasts as the primary function of breasts. And the reason why I know this is true and I'm not just talking a bunch of junk is because there are plenty of countries where breastfeeding is not looked at as sexual in public. A lot of African countries, a lot of indigenous people look at it like that. We have just created a system where that primary function is not looked at and identified or even considered really when breasts are talked about or mentioned or seen at all. And until that changes, I don't know if we can actually come back or return or change the public view of breastfeeding. And I'm not trying to negate the sexual function of breasts, but like I said before, the primary function of breasts are to make milk and feed children. Anything else that comes after that is a bonus and should be looked at as that. Exposure is everything. When I was a child, and I shared this on my Instagram a while ago, I had only seen women bottle feed their children. My mom breastfed me, but that I didn't know that, one, and two, that was such a long time ago that obviously I forgot about that. But the women that were around me, whether it was church, family, whatever, they never breastfed, or at least I never saw them breastfeed. Until one day, I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I was sitting in a church on a balcony, and the lady behind me was African, and she had a whole bunch of children, and she had a baby. And out of nowhere, she whips out her tit, and I was shocked. I was staring so hard that my father had to stop me and tell me, look, you need to chill, like stop. And that was my experience. The reason why I was so shocked, once again, was because I had never seen it. Now, when I was pregnant, breastfeeding in public was a big concern for me. And I remember I was working as a waitress at the time, and I was working with this 15-year-old boy that helped me out significantly. He used to bust my tables and things like that. And I remember asking him the question, How do you feel when you see someone that's breastfeeding, or have you ever seen that? And he told me that that isn't something that is sexual to him, because he had a lot of older sisters and they had children, and he was exposed to them whipping out their tit, to say the least, to feed their babies. So it wasn't something that was a big deal for him. And that led me to believe that exposure is really everything. Because I wasn't exposed to it, it was a shock to me. It was something that I didn't expect and I didn't know how to respond to as a child. And then I compare that to this boy, this young man, I should say, that had been exposed to it, and it wasn't a big deal because he was exposed to it. I don't know what comes first when it comes to changing the culture in America around breastfeeding. Do women have to whip it out more without any care? Or do people have to change their view on what is sexual and what is not? So why should somebody breastfeed in public without covering up? Well, 1, it's convenient. 2, it could possibly help to change people's perception and give them exposure to something that they might not otherwise have been exposed to. 3, if it is hot outside and your baby is uncomfortable, like I know my baby, every time I would use the shawl or cover up for her, she would almost like try her best to rip it off. I know every baby's different, but it brings more comfort to the child as well as the mother if she's hot or uncomfortable with that shawl thing over her. The cons is that there are creeps out here that will stare at you and get off sexually, possibly, by whipping your tit out. I have experienced creeps in the past because of breastfeeding, and if you're in the wrong environment, this could lead to negative consequences that I don't wish on anybody. So you also have to be aware of your surroundings, know who is around, know who isn't, know if someone is staring at you extremely hard, and take note of that and maybe change your behavior accordingly, because I don't want anybody to get hurt or things of that nature. Until breastfeeding is normalized, people will continue to sexualize breasts, even in a non-sexual task. It's actually pretty sad to think about when you consider that an innocent child, a baby, sucking on your breast to get milk is considered something as sexual. They have no concept of sexual at that age, and yet some of the arguments out there are that it is a sexual thing, and it's a sexual thing for people to watch them do that. Their minds aren't there. It's us adults that need to conform and change our perception so that our babies can have what they need and have the best of what they need without any shame attached. At the end of the day, it's your body, it's your right. Do what you think is right for you and your baby. If you believe that being more conservative and hiding your breast is the solution, do that. If you believe in order to change, you've got to make some action, then do that. But just be safe no matter what you do. Thank you so much for watching today. I will see you in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you do, make sure you give me a like. Comment down below also, what are your thoughts on this? Do you breastfeed in public, or is it something that isn't on your radar because of the creeps out there? Let me know. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.